Box Library, Snow White. Once upon a time, there was a young princess named Snow White. Her skin was as white as snow. Her lips were as red as a rose, and her hair was as black as ebony. She was lovely and sweet. Everyone liked her very much. Unfortunately, the queen was sick and died. After the queen died, the king married a new queen. The new queen was a beautiful woman, but proud and wicked, and she could not bear that anyone else was more beautiful than her. She had a magic mirror that could speak. Each day, the queen would ask her magic mirror,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?"
"You are, my queen," the mirror answered. Then she was very happy. But one day, the mirror said, "Alas, I see a lovely maid, and she is more beautiful than you. Lips red as a rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow. Snow White is the fairest in all the land." The queen was very angry. She called a huntsman and said,
"Take the princess into the forest, kill her, and bring me back her heart in this box."
The huntsman obeyed and took Snow White out into the forest. When he was about to kill her, Snow White began to weep and said,
"Ah, dear huntsman, leave me my life. I will run away into the wild forest and never come home again."
The huntsman pitied Snow White, so he could not kill her. "Run away, you poor child," he said. He killed a rabbit, took out its heart, and carried it back to the queen. Poor Snow White was now all alone in the wild woods. She was very afraid and did not know what to do. She ran and ran until she came to a little cottage. She opened the door of the cottage and went inside. There was no one home. Everything in the cottage was very tiny. On a table stood 7 little plates, and on each plate lay a tiny spoon, beside which there were 7 knives and forks and 7 tiny mugs. Against the wall stood 7 tiny beds, side by side. Snow White was so hungry and thirsty that she ate some vegetables and bread from each plate, and drank a few drops of juice from each mug. Then, because she was so tired, she lay across 3 of the little beds and soon fell fast asleep. When night fell, the masters of the little cottage came back. They were 7 dwarfs. When they saw Snow White lying asleep in their beds, they cried aloud with surprise.
"Oh, heavens, what a lovely child!"
Snow White woke up, and she told them the story about her stepmother, the queen, and the huntsman.
"Oh, that's terrible. You may stay here with us safely,"
the dwarf said, and so she stayed. In the daytime, When the 7 dwarfs went out to work, Snow White stayed home to cook and clean.
Take care and let no one come in when we are not with you.
The dwarfs warned Snow White.
Do not open the door for any strangers.
The queen believed that Snow White was dead, and that she was again the most beautiful of all. She went to her mirror and said,
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
The mirror answered,
Snow White is. Over the hill and far away, she dwells with 7 dwarfs.
How angry the queen was.
Snow White should die,
She cried.
even if it costs me my life.
The queen painted her face and dressed herself like an old woman. She carried a basket of poisonous apples and came to the dwarfs' little cottage.
I'll give Snow White a poisonous apple. One taste, and Snow White's eyes will close forever.
She thought. She knocked on the door and cried,
Good day, my good girl. I'm very thirsty. Could you give me a glass of water, please?
Forgetting the dwarf's warning, Snow White let the poor old woman into the cottage.
Here you are.
Snow White gave her a glass of water. The old woman drank it and gave Snow White an apple as a gift.
Try it. It is sweet.
The poor girl took one bite of the poisonous apple and fell to the floor.
Now,
Said the queen,
I am once more the most beautiful of all.
and she went away. When the 7 dwarfs came home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. They tried to wake her up, but they could not. They were very upset.
We cannot bury her in the dark ground,
They said. They put her in a glass coffin so that they would remember her. For a long, long time, Snow White lay in the glass coffin, but she did not change. She only looked as if she were asleep, for her skin was still as white as snow. Her lips were as red as a rose, and her hair was as black as ebony. One day, a handsome prince passed by the cottage. When he saw Snow White, he fell deeply in love with her. He opened the glass coffin and gave her a kiss. Using the power of true love, the spell was broken. Snow White woke up. The happy prince married Snow White soon, and they lived happily ever after.